The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
I wondered about this. The Olympics start in about a week. Jeff's going to help me with the pronunciation. Is it the Seine River? Is that the way that you say that in Paris? Seine. Does that sound right to you? Seine or
Seine?
Seine. I think
it's Seine.
Yeah, I think you're right. Seine. Okay.
But you're asking me about pronunciation. That usually gets us in trouble too.
Well, but I mean, you're our 1% guy. I mean, usually you're pretty good about obscure and tidbits and things like that, facts, history. You're well rounded. You're that.
There's a fat joke in there somewhere.
Oh no, there's no fat joke in there. You're
and I appreciate it.
You're a 5-tool guy. When you say, Jamie, the Jeff's a 5-tool guy?
Six
tool
tools.
Guy. Okay, yep. Can do a lot of different things. So yesterday in Paris, where the Olympics will take place in a little over a week, the mayor of Paris went into the Seine River to prove that it was clean enough for the Olympians and the open swimming competitions that will take place. The long distance swimming, not the ones they have a pool. They've made a pool over there. They got for the traditional swimming. This is, like the decathlon and stuff like that kind of swimming. Okay. And then they're also going to have the opening ceremonies will be on the Seine River with the athletes coming in on boats, etc. So her name is Anne Hidalgo, and she fulfilled a promise to show it was clean enough to host open swimming competitions because that river has been a bit of a sewer over the past few years, decades, probably hundreds of years.
Okay.
Much like remember in Rio, we heard about all the cleanup that took place for similar things, that they... when they had the Olympics in Rio, they had a similar kind of issue with this, with cleaning up their open swimming area. She was in a wetsuit and goggles. She plunged into the river near her city hall, her office, and the Notre Dame, or maybe they say Notre Dame Cathedral. Then others that went into the water after her were the Olympic president, a top government official for the Paris region who's responsible for safety and traffic on the Parisian waterway, which will be at the center of the opening ceremonies. Then members of the city council also made their way into the river too. I wonder, not all of them were probably as fit as the mayor and the Olympic president, who is a former canoeist, but she said, the water is wonderful. It's very cool and very nice. Okay. What is she going to say? They said it was a very important milestone because it's the confirmation that we are ready for the games. The sign quality is perfect. They wanted to send a message to the Olympic athletes that they should enjoy the games. Okay.
Okay.
And here's what you should know. Swimming in that river has been banned for more than a century.
Yikes.
Okay, 100 years.
Yikes.
They have spent $1.5 billion to get the sign ready for the Olympics. And then they always say this, to ensure residents will have a cleaner river after the games.
Right.
Well,
right? They got to justify their existence, right?
Okay, so that's part of it, sure. But I also imagine the city of Paris. This isn't like the city of forgotten name of some country that no one knows how to spell. That is building up,
or Sarajevo, maybe.
Whoever that is building all of these brand new facilities that doesn't have the population to sustain them, that doesn't have a use for them after the Olympics is over, like you've seen with the World Cup and everything else. This is a major metropolitan city in a first world country. They have cleaned up their river. This is a feat, take out the Olympics. This is a feat of accomplishment.
Yes, no.
I am for everything that they have done, and I fully believe that all of the infrastructure they have put in place to keep the river clean will still be working after the Olympics is over.
Yeah, but just to be clear, they didn't do it for their people.
No, they did it for the Olympics.
They did it
For
for
the
the
Olympics,
Yeah.
The people will actually benefit, though, from them cleaning up the river.
You could see.
You'd like to think so, yes.
You like to think of her standing on some kind of balcony. We do this for you, the great Parisians of France, because you deserve a clean sign. And oh, by the way, we're going to have the Olympics. But we do this for you. Can you see him standing on a balcony, with all the Parisians standing underneath and listening to her? Somebody says it's pronounced Seine River. Okay, Seine. Seine, sign, scene.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, Seine. Okay.
I would have guessed sign as well,
Okay.
but I'm not
Seine.
the person to ask.
Okay, Seine. You don't
Yeah.
have to do it in all caps for us. I mean, come on. Apparently they've been testing, but I appreciate the help, though. I should be more appreciative of the help.
Depends how.
Should be appreciative of the help. Can use all.
I'm not appreciating anybody shoving me over the ledge of the Grand Canyon. I wouldn't appreciate that help.
I am at a stage in life right now where it seems like from young to old to in between, everybody wants to help me. Okay? And maybe I need it, and I should be more accepting of help. But I'm getting a lot of advice, in which from the little phenom to grandma, and then professionally and personally getting a lot of extra help right now, and maybe I need that. I've not had the best of years. Maybe I should just be accepting and acquiesce.
Depends what kind of help we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Apparently
my wife likes to help me make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'd like to make my own decisions,
Yeah.
but like somebody wants to help you carry a box because you have two others to carry, then that's helpful,
Right. Right.
But like when your wife says, no, I think you should have this for dinner at the restaurant instead of something else, like, I really don't need your help.
Yeah.
I know what I want.
Right. I know what I want.
Yeah.
I want.
I can't imagine what your grandchildren are helping you
Oh
with.
man, they I think one.
When helping is telling you what to do, that's not really help.
I get a lot of help. For my college history classes, I think my professors always pronounced it as sane. Okay. Yeah. 6:40 this morning here on the morning drive. The little feature we call This Day in Sports History is next here on Lubbock Sports Station Double T 97.3. Thanks for being with us.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
And for This Day in Sports History, today is July the 18th, 2024. Here's Jeff McGuire.
Going to start us off in 1921 because Babe Ruth achieves home run number 139 with a Major League Baseball record 575-foot home run to become the all-time home run leader in Major League Baseball. Remember, he tied it just earlier this week. Taking the title from Roger Connor.
575 feet. Tape measure hotel. Home run.
But remember, feet were smaller back then, so,
Right.
Thumps. 1947, Tigers shut out the Yankees 2-0, ending a 19-game winning streak.
Pretty good streak.
1960, Baseball National League votes to add Houston and New York franchises. We would come to know them as the Astros and the Mets.
And before the Astros, they were the Colt 45s. How would that go over today? Probably not very well.
About as well as guns up. 1970, San Francisco Giants outfielder Willie Mays becomes the 10th baseball player to get 3,000 hits. Started playing baseball in the 1800s. 1970 was the 10th 3,000 hit club member. 1987, New York Yankees Don Mattingly ties the record for home runs in 8 consecutive games. 1999, New York Yankee David Cohn becomes the 15th pitcher to throw a perfecto. 6-0 win versus Montreal. And in 2016, former Red Raider A.J. Ramos earns his 30th save of the year in a Marlins 3-2 extra innings win over the Phillies in 11 innings.
Man, I sure wish he hadn't gotten hurt. Man.
I don't know where you guys fall on this. Happy National Sour Candy Day.
I'm generally out on the sour candy. Generally.
I like some of it.
Happy birthday to Vin Diesel, who's 57.
Like the Sour Patch Kids?
Yeah, sour, like,
I'm all right with those.
sour worms or whatever. You know, there's a million of them that
Yep.
sour is the flavor of choice. Vin Diesel, 57. Kristen Bell, 44. Richard Branson is 74. Penny Hardaway, 53. Joe Torre, 84. And Dave Campo is 77. And on this day in 1947, President Harry S. Truman signs the Presidential Succession Act. The act revised an older Succession Act that was passed in 1792 during George Washington's first term. When he was then vice president, Truman assumed the presidency after Franklin Roosevelt died in 45 of a stroke during his fourth term. Truman advanced the view that the Speaker of the House, as an elected official, should be next in line to be president after the vice president instead of a cabinet member, which had been the process up to that point. He signed the act that brought back the original 1792 law that placed the Speaker ahead of the Senate President pro temp in the hierarchy. Now, fortunately for this country, we've only ever had to use the vice president in the order of succession. And that is this day in sports history.
All right, this day in sports history, 6:49 this morning here on the Morning Drive. All right, so
You didn't want to jump into the conspiracy theory about that? I figured you knew this one. Why it was the Speaker and not the Senate Majority Leader? Why Truman picked him over why that split?
Was the Speaker a Democrat at the time?
He had a better relationship with the Speaker of the House than he did the Senate.
The President.
The President of the Senate. So it was speculated at the time that the reason that he picked the Speaker of the House is because of that and not because of any other necessarily line of how it should go.
I thought the President of the Senate was the Vice President.
Hang on.
I think the President of the Senate.
He's got the tie-breaking vote. Is he called the President of the Senate?
What I was going to ask you is if you guys knew how many members of the 3,000 hit club that there were. He said that today Willie Mays became the 10th. Do you know how many there are?
Seems like we're past 20 now, aren't we?
We are.
Seems like
23,
23. That's what I was going to guess. And now I'm thinking that's perfect games. How many, Chuck?
33.
33.
Yeah. So, and then the first one, and I'm going to give you how many people have thrown a perfect game. 24 perfect games.
24, yeah.
Okay. The first one to get to 3,000 when I did the quick look here was Camp Anson, who got to 3,011 on this day in history in 1897. So how about that? And like you said, Willie Mays got to 3,000 on July the 18th, 1970. So two guys got to 3,000 on this day in sports history.
Well, that's kind of odd.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. The very first guy and Willie Mays, who became the 10th. So, yeah, you went from 1897 to 1970, okay, with just, 9 additional people. And then now since 1970, so over the last 54 years. Is that right? 54 years, yeah. You've added 13. So it's kind of where where you stand right there. All right, so 6:51 this morning here on the morning drive. Somebody said on the chat line they cut up my food for me. No, they have not done that yet. I've not sunk to that.
Your grandchildren
or anybody. Anybody. I've not sunk to that. I'm not sunk to that level yet. I'm sure there'll be a day. I'm like, can I cut that up for you, Big Paw? Sure, that'd be great. that'd be awesome. That way I'll know that it's almost over then, Jamie. So like, maybe I'll still be sitting here with you. You'll cut up my food for me. You spoon feed me my smoothie in the morning?
No.
Okay. No. Draw the line.
Gonna go no.
Draw the line right there. So 24 perfect games and 33 3,000 hitters. All right. Did you discover that?
It is the president of the Senate. It's a different position than the vice president. They are two separate positions.
Two separate positions. Okay. Two separate positions. Okay. All right. Well, we give you a little civics lesson occasionally from time to time on this program.
Okay.
We kind of try to help you out with that a little bit. So that's kind of what we have been known to do from time to time. I want to get into some things that he had to say, but just my quick thinking here is, and I'm going to shift gears here dramatically. You got two guys that are going to take over some announcing duties this fall with football. Tom Brady on the NFL side. He's going to be an analyst for Fox. We all know this. The guy that I think is just going to be outstanding, because I think he has always spoke his mind and has always been very, I think, thought-provoking. I think Nick Saban is going to be outstanding as a commentator.
Oh, he's already been, it feels like, a guy that's been pretty honest on things.
Yeah.
That we've already seen from SEC media days. So, yeah, I don't disagree.
That's probably a no-brainer comment, but he's got some comments that I want to get into.
And even as a coach, he was pretty. Yes. He was pretty outspoken about things and
forthright.
Honest.
Yeah. No, and I think well-spoken too. He wasn't just some. Some guys are, arm wavers and they say things that are just absolutely crazy. I don't know anybody like that. But then that was a joke. But I think for the most part, he's really been really good and will continue to be so. All right, just before 7 here this morning on the Morning Drive.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Picking up on a conversation, I'm stealing a conversation that the Bottom Line had yesterday with X Factors with regard to Texas Tech and the football season coming up, and one that I thought that Rob Rowe brought up yesterday that was really interesting to me was the road victories. Jeff, anything stand out to you on maybe an X factor that would be different than defensive line play or road wins or got to keep Baron Morton healthy, blah, 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 offensive line? Is there something else that's an X factor to you that you go?
I think something that could be big for you, and some of this will be determined by your offensive line, but if you can actually use your tight ends in the passing game. I really do feel like some of your struggles and lack of production in that department has been because they were used in the blocking game a lot more than anybody wanted them to. So if you are able to get the offensive line to block the 4 guys or 5 guys in front of them with your 5 guys and not need to bring in a tight end to be an extra blocker, that adds that weapon to a quarterback. The security blanket, little 5-yard curl that I think should be in every passing play designed in the history of the world because of how often it just moves the chains. You don't have to get 15 yards on it. 4 is enough, especially when it's that quick little just dump pass of the pocket is collapsing, everybody deep is covered, and there's the tight end sitting in the flat just sitting there going, hi, nobody's here but me. Cool. That could be huge if your offensive line is able to do what they're expected to do.
And you give Morton or whomever enough time to be able to find the tight end right there.
Not need the tight end to block, so he has the time to find something. That's where that can. But I kind of feel like that's kind of cheating because it's talking about the offensive line. But if they can do their job, I think your tight ends can be an X factor for you having an exceptional season.
Yeah. So, how many times have you been 3rd and 4, or 3rd and 5, or maybe you don't even need to get to 3rd and 5 if you do that on 2nd down, and now all of a sudden you're 3rd and 1 or whatever, 3rd and 2, you can give the ball to the big fella and let him get you a couple of yards as opposed to having to get 3 or 4.
Yeah, it feels like there's 3 guys there that are really talented and that you have a chance to use that would really be a big boost to you. Mm-hmm. And it's just a matter of will you use them a little bit more than you've used them in recent years.
All right, so when you look at the road schedule, do you kind of look at this and go, okay, and there's, like you said, there's really no gimme games. Not that you're expecting any, but there's no game where you go, it feels like that you'll be favored to go and win there. Maybe Washington State is the easiest game of the road games, Jamie?
Maybe so, because the Big 12 ones at Arizona, at TCU, at Iowa State, at Oklahoma State, they look pretty tough to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I think I would lean towards the Washington State one.
Would you, as we're sitting here right now, if I said to you, you're only going to get 2 road wins, would you take that?
You're going to win 2 of your 5 road games.
Yeah.
I probably would take that.
Would you take that, Jeff? Because I think I would.
Yeah. Although I don't like that record on the road. But I think I'd take it.
I mean, they're trying to figure out how to, 1, play better on the road. That's certainly an initiative. And then 2, play better at the end of the year. Win more.
They've been great.
Well, they've been great at the end of the year. Excuse me. Winning on the road at the end of the year. That's what I should say. And maybe starting off better. So you would start off better by winning on the road at Washington State, because then you would kind of feel like, well, North Texas and Arizona State and Cincinnati, they're going to field teams. They're going to do scouting reports against you. They're going to come here and play hard, but you'd feel like going into that Arizona game, you'd potentially be 5-0.
Possible.
Mm-hmm. and then you kind of going into, let's just face it. If you're 6-1, 7-0 going into TCU, you're feeling pretty good about things, obviously. But that game at Arizona on October the 5th, that's the other one that I really got circled going, okay, how is that game going to go? What's Arizona going to look like, with their new coach and the guys that they return? And that will be a real litmus test. And maybe the Washington State game will be a real litmus test in terms of just getting out and playing on the road, because that's going to be an emotional game, because you're their toughest opponent of the year.
Yeah, I don't know about emotional.
Well, they're going to honor Mike Leach, and they're going to play. They're playing us, and it's a big game of the season. Blah blah blah. Some would say maybe they're looking ahead to Washington when they play them, Apple Cup, all that kind of stuff.
Well, okay, so then how would you call ours the biggest game of the season if they're playing Washington?
I think they're playing Washington. Let me look up their schedule. I may be wrong on that, Jamie. Washington State, Cougar football, 2024 schedule. Okay, so after us, they play Washington. Yeah, so that's probably their biggest game of the season, because that's an in-state rival.
Yeah, I don't think there's any probably to that.
I knew you were going to say that. As soon as I said probably, James going to say that. There's no probably. That's just that.
Yeah, I don't.
We're their second biggest game. Maybe they look past us to look to Washington. I have no idea.
I think it's a tough game. I don't think it's any kind of gimme by any stretch of the imagination. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think it's winnable.
Yeah. They play Portland State the week ahead of us. Then they play Washington. And then after that, man, you just kind of look at maybe Oregon State is their next. That's the second to last game of the season. They'll play them in Corvallis on November the 23rd. So
that one probably means a lot to him too.
yeah, big Pac-12 rivalry game there.
The only one. Biggest rivalry in the conference.
That's right. The only one. And I think TCU is obviously a winnable game. And then you look to steal one. You look to steal one at because I think if you went 3-2 in your road games this year, you would deem that as a successful road season.
Yes, because those are tough games that you have on the road.
Because then that would mean you would win at Arizona or at Iowa State or at Oklahoma State. Now, if you were to tell me you get to win 3, are the 3 that you want to win Washington State, TCU, and Oklahoma State? Or would you rather win Arizona and Iowa State? Or Iowa State to win the 3? Because I know you want to beat TCU. Okay, I know you want to do that.
And Oklahoma State.
And Oklahoma State.
And those are the 2 that mean the most to me.
Okay. But I think...
What exactly was the question?
The question is if you could win 3, okay, is it Iowa State, Oklahoma State, or Arizona for the 3rd one? I'm assuming you want Washington State and TCU as 2. Or would you sacrifice the Washington State game for a Big 12 win?
I would sacrifice the Washington State game for a Big 12 win.
It'd be hell on wheels for a few weeks, but...
I'll take TCU, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State as the most important 3 for me.
I would go Arizona, TCU, Oklahoma State.
Okay.
I think those 3 wins, but if you get those on the road in Big 12 play, that's the kind of oomph you will need to get ahead of people in the tiebreaker to get in the Big 12 championship.
Arizona would probably get you more respect since they're
and it would make up for the Washington State loss. It would be, oh well, they figured out their road woes and they did it against a big time opponent.
How soon on Monday morning, September the 23rd, after you lose at Washington State and then you beat Arizona, is the first text of that morning typical Tech?
No, I bet it's well.
That's not a text. That's a comment from the host.
That will be my comment. Well. 7:25.
Probably win or lose.
7:25 this morning here on the Morning Drive.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, guys. We've talked a little bit this morning about the Red Raiders' road football schedule and how difficult it is. And it seems like everybody believes the Red Raider home football schedule plays out pretty well for them. I'm in that camp. I feel like there's the opportunity that you could get to 6-1 or 7-0 even if you dared to dream a little bit. So I am going to ask you today to rank in order the 3 toughest home games, from easiest to toughest. 1 being the toughest. Okay. I kind of taken Abilene Christian in North Texas off the board, so I think, but that's up to you.
I'll take Abilene Christian off the board. Toughest to easiest. That's a really interesting question. Man, I think. Okay. I think Cincinnati 3, Baylor 2, and Colorado 1. So I'm going to go Cincinnati, Baylor, and Colorado.
Okay.
I'm going to go in this order. Colorado 3, Baylor 2, West Virginia 1.
I did desperately want to put North Texas in there. Probably should have put them in there at 3, but I do think that game's going to be closer than what we think.
Okay, I'm having a hard time with my third one. Very easily for me, number 2, Colorado, number 1, West Virginia.
Okay.
I think West Virginia is going to be a good football team. They have an extremely difficult schedule, though. It's one of the roughest in the conference. So their their record may not be nice and shiny when they come to Lubbock Thanksgiving weekend, but I think it's going to be a good team. I'm going to put Colorado in there at second. I just think there's so much talent in their skill position players, even if they're not great up front. They give themselves a chance with as good as that talent is. The third one for me is the hard one. I just feel like none of them should be hard. We're talking Abilene Christian, we're talking North Texas, we're talking Arizona State, we're talking Cincinnati, and we're talking Baylor. I guess I'll go with Baylor, number 3. Just because... Well, the last time they came in here and pounded you, it shouldn't matter, but I don't know. I'm going to go with Baylor at number 3.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so if you have an opinion on that, Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. Visual Edge IT hotline.
So you didn't even have West Virginia on your list. I had them at number 1.
I know.
So you don't think they're going to be any good?
I think by the time we get to the last game of the season, I don't think they're going to have the year that they had a year ago. And I think that they're going to be an easier opponent than what we think at the end. I think to me the game that everybody's going to circle for I guess I was so looking forward to that weekend, and now that Texas A&M's not coming here to play basketball, it just seems like
Yeah, we got to get out of that. I get it. We got to get out of that mode because we need a home crowd that weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's sad, but we were kind of going to use basketball to help football.
To energize the whole weekend.
To get people to come and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's a great doubleheader. We can watch basketball on Friday, football on Saturday, and now will people think, maybe not?
Yeah, now you go like, maybe you can just play off the fact of, if you're going to your in-laws for Thanksgiving, here's a reason for you to come back Friday morning and say to your spouse, hey, you got a football game on Saturday? Don't the kids have something going on too?
Don't say it in that voice.
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, I just worry about that a little bit. And I think that what fair. Tech was trying to do, I don't know if that's the reason they were trying to do it or not, but was going to be great. It was going to be awesome. I was definitely looking forward to it, and I think that there's probably a lot of people that feel exactly like what you just said there, Chuck. It's going to be awesome back-to-back. Now it's just going to be one. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving. Do we want to just pass it? I'm sure there are a lot of people like that, but I think that's going to be a tough game, and we need atmosphere.
Yeah, and we've got a long-standing tradition of not having a great crowd at the Friday after or the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
When's the last time we played the Saturday after Thanksgiving? Was it that Baylor game in 2008?
You've played since then on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, but that's the biggest one that comes to mind. There's a reason we sent the Baylor game to Arlington every year.
Yeah.
Because you could get a crowd there.
Have we played at home on Saturday after Thanksgiving since then?
I'm sure we have. We haven't played the Baylor game in 6 years, right? In 4 years. No, it's 4 years, so we should have at least played one. Have they all been on the road that week?
Or we didn't play. We've gone to Austin.
Gone to Austin.
A bunch on that Friday.
Yeah.
Like every other year.
Yeah, right. Because they're like having us for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, since Baylor, except that it hasn't always worked out that way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because we've won a couple times.
Right, yeah.
So they're the turkeys, not us.
November 26th, Jones against Oklahoma.
What year?
That would be
we need a year.
2022. 22.
Okay.
I don't know if that was.
And we won that game because that's the game where Joey McGuire said we're going to beat Oklahoma and tear down the south end zone. And that's exactly what happened.
That was 51-48-ish.
Yeah.
Then you've got 20, and I don't think we made it. Oh yeah, 20. The 28th lost to Oklahoma State, but that was on the road.
Yeah, well, that doesn't count.
scrolling through the schedules and then having to get to November.
I think, here's what will help November 30th more than anything else is what you do November 23rd. You win at Oklahoma State, you might be playing for the right to play in a Big 12 championship game.
Might.
You
can't just win November 23rd.
No, I know, but I understand
but
that.
You're right. You're right.
But I mean, winning that game will energize November 30th.
Sure.
With no question. Mm-hmm. Somebody says this. I agree that I'm not that high on Colorado in general, but Texas Tech generally struggles with multi-talented quarterbacks like that.
So do a lot of teams.
I know, but
it's not just us.
No, I know, but we do struggle. We seem to have struggled there. 7:40 this morning here on the Morning Drive. The Boom 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 is next on Lubbock Sports Station Double T 97.3.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
8:02 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. I don't recognize that one. What was it?
Transformers, robots in disguise.
Okay, well,
that would be the umpire wearing the umpire mask and the uniform and the hat backwards. And
I got you now.
Then transforming into a truck and driving off.
Okay,
a texter on the 8 Morning Center chat line I thought was really. He sounded really smart. He said they should call it a technology-assisted strike zone, which is exactly what it is, not a robot.
Yeah. Somebody else says this. You'll still need the umpire to judge balls and strikes in case of communications malfunction. Malfunction?
Yeah. Was he talking about the pitching thing or the show?
Probably a little bit. Column A and column B. Earpiece, Chuck, just like the players use. So you can go like that.
I would be willing to bet you either that would be something or maybe a light would shine in center field, ball strike and, whatever.
Somebody says this, Rosie from the Jetsons. That was hilarious, and I'd vote for that. Thank you. Thank you. That was every once in a while some positive affirmation from you guys it's nice. I get the mud balls that get thrown at us or me from time to time, but every once in a while it's nice to hear that somebody actually laughed at something.
Okay, well, you say something good. Well, Jeff and I will be all over it. I'm sorry, you just teed that one up.
I did. No, it's fine.
You just teed that one up.
Do you think
I just think it's funny that everybody has this vision, okay, of like the home plate umpire leaning on R2-D2 back there.
Right, yeah. Or maybe but
how cool would that be if that was the case, though? Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, that would be awesome.
How would that go? Wouldn't the robot be behind, would the umpire be behind the robot or the robot be behind the catcher?
That would, again, C-3PO, it would be a different deal. He'd have to be behind the umpire. But R2-D2, he could be in front of the umpire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's smaller.
Yeah. So let me if I ask you a question, will you be 100% honest with me?
Yes.
Did you think there was going to be a big piece of metal back there? Like something that looked like a robot?
I wasn't sure.
But that's where I wasn't sure. That's where the term robot umpire is so misleading.
I wasn't sure what they were going to put back there.
So yes.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't know what they would have some kind of.
What was going to happen when there was like a play at the plate?
I don't know. Somebody had to get their
Somebody
remote.
runs out there and grabs him and takes him out of the way. What if there's a pop up in the air right behind home plate?
I don't know. Somebody would have to have
be careful not to trip on the robot.
All these Game Boy guys out there would give them a job to do because then they would have to hire somebody to have a remote controller in their hand. They could sit right there behind home plate, and then they get their clicker out, and then you have to make sure that the batteries were fresh. Do you think the longtime umpires will be or are offended by
1,000%?
Yeah,
and I would be if I was in their position.
Sure, I would be too. Yeah.
Somebody suggested that we have robots to host the show, which just happened a few minutes ago. Would you be insulted?
Yeah, I think I would be. I mean, maybe we could get automated hosts for the show. It wouldn't be near as entertaining, I'll tell you that. Sometimes you just can't make this stuff up, right? what comes out of this microphone or your listening ear, or your whatever it is.
Jamie wasn't here when we discussed AI replacing the hosts here.
Oh boy.
And it was there.
I don't think I was either.
You were here because you were the example that we used. Because there's no way we could program an AI
to predict
be Chuck Heinz.
To predict what he was going to say.
We could probably get AI to do Jamie.
Yeah.
We could probably get AI to do a lot of people. There's no chance you could program AI enough to take over for Chuck Heinz.
I'm going to take that.
You just never know, right? Yeah. Hey, you just never know.
That's what keeps you coming back. Going,
right. You can predict what I'm going to say about things
from time to time. Yeah. From time to time,
but not necessarily with Chuck.
Every once in a while, you trip me up. But for the most part, I'm like.
So let me ask you this: do you think it's good for baseball?
No, I don't.
And the reason is?
I just feel like there's a human element. I enjoy the different umpires having a little bit different strike zone. I mean, I don't think there's anything that's perfect in life. There are no absolutes in life, and if not, then why don't we just install a buzzer on the bag or some kind of a sensor on first and second and third, and I just hate taking away some of the human element from it. I get wanting to get the call right with regard to instant replay and things like that, because you don't want a team or an individual to be robbed of something because the person in play wasn't right there. But there's a certain aspect of the human element of life that I enjoy. I mean, sometimes the screw ups on what we do or what people do in general, that just kind of helps you. That's part of life.
But a ball that's hit down the right field line and it just barely misses or just barely clips the line, we want to be certain that that's right. We want to see replay correct that, but we don't on balls and strikes.
I know. So it doesn't sound reasonable.
I don't, for the most part, Chuck, I honestly kind of agree with you. I've always liked the fact that any umpire can have a little bit different strike zone, and it's part of the game, and there's a human element to it. But, okay, and I've said this before, this is on us, okay? The reason there's so much hand-wringing over this, right?
Yeah.
Because people have become so obsessed with criticizing umpires for, look at this guy's zone.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, you're right.
Look at this guy's zone. And we got video of it, and we put it on social media, and we complain about this umpire. And so now the umpires in their training, they have to grade their guys on, hey, there's no, you got a lower strike zone or a wider strike zone than everybody else. You are calling what's in this box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You're not allowed to ask hitters and pitchers to adjust to a strike zone. You're pitching to this box, and I'm not saying that's wrong.
Yeah.
But those guys are judged on that and graded on that, and they get better gigs because of that. And so I'm fine with all of that. So the human element it's got to go. It had to go away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, these umpires were going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, and I think now you have the ability, when we can see every pitch, whether it's a ball, a strike, or a strike, we have an ability to get it right.
Yeah, and the HD TV and the addition of the proliferation of cameras at games has changed everything.
Just like we have an opportunity to get it right, whether it's fair or foul, or get it right whether it's goaltending or not goaltending.
Yeah.
All of that. So I say if you can get the technology to get it right, get it right.
Yeah.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.